And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services, talking business from my home office today in White Plains, New York. Another episode of our Talking Business interview series where we talk to experts in the field of banking, insurance, customer service, digital marketing. And today we have a friend of ours calling in from Connecticut, and that is Jack Loop, who's the founder and CEO of the HomeCard Group. Jack, good to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Ken.
Very good. Well, maybe if you could start, just tell us a little bit about your career. You've worked with a couple of technology companies, and also you've worked with retailers. Tell us briefly, if you would, a little bit about some of the kinds of companies that you have worked with in your career.
So my background working with different kinds of companies, primarily always companies that were developing some new technology or looking at reinventing themselves in a new, creating new products or services. So companies from, large companies like Madison Square Garden, who was looking at creating new sports that they could actually hold within inside the arena, whether it was, X Games type events outside of basketball and hockey, to companies like Spade, who originally just sold a certain number of products, creating some new e-commerce and some new ways of selling products globally for them, and all the way through technology and content companies, and certainly been involved in the credit card loyalty space for a number of years with different ideas and different concepts that we've tried to bring to market. HomeCard is one of those, which I can talk about a little bit later. But this, in today's world, it's a very interesting time because there's so many large industries and large companies that are going through a disruption in some ways of thinking about their businesses differently, and how that might affect the future of those companies.
Yes,
so it's an intriguing time, very intriguing.
It certainly is. Now, what have you seen the impact be? Certainly the industries we follow, the airline business is down to about 5% operation. Hotels, very limited. Restaurants are shut down. It seems like the travel and entertainment business, conventions are shut down. Sports, professional sports, college sports, spectator sports are really shut down, hoping baseball is going to start in July. What do you see in all of these changes that are happening to these major industries in the United States?
To be honest with you, I mean, we're all living it together, so we're all kind of watching what's happening. My personal opinion is that things like travel, maybe events, might be lower on the priority list as far as spend for the average consumer going forward. And I say that by meaning that I think travel, events, outside of normal spending on food and groceries and so forth was, kind of an extra thing that people love to kind of go do. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a behavioral change. Might take a while to come back before things get back to normal. But I think I think we're going to see that consumers don't want to plan trips, flying places, staying in hotels, going to resorts, things that are over the top from a cost standpoint as well as a risk standpoint. And I think that's different than we've ever seen before. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the travel industry figures that out and really designs or redesigns their business models to support those consumers that may not be traveling today but want to travel sometime in the future, and create programs that keep their customers loyal to whether the hotel programs or whether airlines and so forth, for a period of time when they may not be using those services at all. So we've already seen it. The major programs have been extending their points programs or their status programs out for a year. I think that's going to actually end up being a couple of years in order to keep those customers loyal so they come back when they're ready to come back.
Well, that's certainly been a big move by the rewards industry and the loyalty businesses to extend the period of time that customers maintain certain plateaus and recognition levels. See that in the casino business is doing that. Airlines, others are going to be doing that. What do you see as kind of the way that organizations will bring back consumer confidence, whether it's to go into a restaurant, go into a shopping mall, or a stadium, or going into an airport?
That's a great, it's a great question. Don't know that it's going to be a fast answer. I think one of the things that, obviously every industry is trying to figure out how to sterilize and, protect both their customers as well as their employees. The challenge is, I think the challenge is going to be that the volume numbers are going to be so low as far as users. So in restaurants, if you go down to 25% or 50%, even if you were clean and sterile, I'm not sure that a restaurant could support itself on 50% of the revenue they were getting previously. And if they have additional costs to sterilize and masks and so forth, I think it's going to be a challenge. I think we're going to actually see businesses close up because they can't reopen in the same way they were, successful in the past. And depending on the business owner and the size of the business, I think we're going to see more small businesses that were owned by older people, and I don't mean that negatively, but just older people that were ready to retire, sell their business, are going to sell their businesses faster today and transfer that wealth or transfer that business to somebody younger because of what's going on. I think it's sped up that process. So I don't think it's going to be an easy process for reopening restaurants, hotels, airlines. I think you're going to have less planes, less hotels, and less restaurants. And that will benefit the ones that can hang in there, but the ones that are going to go out, and they're going to be hard to reopen those restaurants. I think that Trump might say, he says things like, well, restaurants will close, but new people will come along and open up restaurants in those same locations. I've heard him say that before. That's a great thing to say, but I think it's very difficult to start a business, particularly a restaurant, from ground zero, even if you take over an existing restaurant. So I think we're going to see less restaurants, we're going to see less airlines, we're going to see less hotel rooms, and that may create a better user experience, but I think it's going to be more costly to do those things: travel, fly, stay in hotels, and eat out. And therefore, the average consumer will not do it as often as they were before COVID hit.
Yes, that's certainly, we've talked to some who say airlines should eliminate middle seats, but that's going to eliminate 45% of their capacity that they really can't afford to give up. Now, you've worked with the likes in retailing of Macy's and Kate Spade. We see some of the shopping malls around the country. The Simon Company, a large owner of shopping malls, was reopening around the country. They tried to say they wanted to open up again in the Westchester or New York suburbs, Hudson Valley this weekend, but they got preempted to wait further by government leaders. What is it going to take for retailers shopping malls to be able to open up successfully?
Well, I think the mall, I think it's an interesting issue, and you're talking about the East Coast here. East Coast the weather's starting to get good. People want to be outside. They don't want to be inside a mall. But in the wintertime, people, I think, want to walk a mall, whether they shop or go into the stores or not. So I do think that the malls themselves can become and this has been going on for a while. It's not just because of COVID. Making a mall a walking, kind of a walking park, if you will, for folks that want to get out and walk and get some exercise. Even in the pre-COVID, a lot of the malls were catering towards older consumers in order to get them out of the house and so forth to walk and hopefully buy something. But I think a lot of it was about using the mall space as a walking venue. I think that's what they should be doing, is promoting that, and the cleanliness of that, and the social distancing. Maybe they create different lanes, left, almost like they're doing in the grocery stores, so that people can use them all to walk. And whether the retailers all open or not, and whether they all are full bore or not, that's going to take some time. But I do think you're going to see more and more people using a mall for different purposes than shopping in the future.
Well, true. I mean, we see the malls, Macy's, Sears, others are going to continue to struggle through this and to survive. I think the one mall in White Plains here has got a Macy's and a Sears. That is not a good formula today for the future. Limited number of stores in it, so the malls are going to struggle. Now, you've been involved in innovation throughout your career. You worked in the early days of the cell phone industry, business equipment retailing, and others. What are some of the innovations, new technologies that you see emerging? Obviously, video conferencing has leaped to support business and online education. What are some of the technologies that you see that consumers and businesses are utilizing to get through this crisis that they're going to stick with going forward?
Well, I mean, I've been involved in the cellular industry from the very beginning. I've been involved in video, where we did sporting events, and we rebroadcast sporting events across mobile platforms with companies like ESPN and so forth. So I've been watching the technology change and get more and more sophisticated and better quality in order to do things like what we're doing right now. This video zooming, whatever you want to call it, this video capability that we're doing via the internet wasn't really capable of handling bandwidth and handling capacity up really until the last few, 3 or 4 years. And I think that a lot of experience that people had with video like this and buffering and trying to watch something streaming was very frustrating. But what I've seen, and it's taken a while to get the technology to the point where it's not frustrating any longer, and it's this whole process of this whole COVID issue has really, I think, shown people that the technology that has been here for a little while is really pretty good, outside of a few glitches here and there, as far as communicating and getting streaming across without having to be physically in a location. So I think that's going to highly impact business travel going forward. I think that there are companies that are starting to use this technology in order to take tours of their factories, show products, get potential clients, on a call to show a product or service. And it's more, I think what's morphing faster than anybody would have thought is that it's not setting up what we used to call, webinar, PowerPoint presentation where you're walking a group of people through a PowerPoint presentation. This is live, physical, showing a product, talking live, and things like what the background behind you looks like or behind you, physically showing a product on the screen, and showing the ins and outs of what the product or the technology is. I think we're going to see more and more of that. And I think it's a great thing, because I think it definitely brings down borders. And I think it's going to speed up, Ken, to be honest with you, business development. It's going to speed up the sales process. You're not going to have to set up a meeting for 2 weeks from now to show somebody a product or have a meeting. You can do it now. We can do it tomorrow morning. We can do it tonight. I can show you the product. You can see it. You can ask questions. So two-way communication that this technology has finally gotten to, and what people have been forced to use every day now, I think is going to speed up business development, tenfold.
maybe Jack, final thought about your company, the HomeCard Group, some things you're doing, and I know you have you have thoughts on this new normal that we are moving into.
Sure. So, yeah, the HomeCard Group, we developed something that was, you could call it ahead of its time or behind its time in some cases, but I think based on what's going on today, we feel pretty confident that we've got something that's the right time. One of the challenges in the rewards business is that travel, there's been so much focus on travel in the past, and a lot of consumers get kind of caught up in that whole travel rewards kind of side of things, and even cash back rewards. And so what we did is we decided that we would create a product called the HomeCard that actually is a cash back program, but actually instead of the money going into a static account, like an air miles account or a cash account, it actually goes into a savings account that pays you interest. It's a combination of two things. It's a credit card and a savings account combined into two things. So that as you earn the money, the money automatically goes into a savings account and you start earning interest that you can use someday to pay whatever you want to eventually buy a house, whether it's to pay off credit card debt, whether it's to pay off student loans. But again, you could always turn that cash, as we all know, you can always buy air miles if you need to, if you wanted to on your favorite airline. But our whole premise is that, today, in today's world, and particularly now, let's turn all that spending and all that transaction revenue that's generated by the credit card companies and the banks and so forth, and turn that into actual cash that goes into your savings account that you can earn money on every day, and you can use it for whatever you want as a consumer, and not wait for travel or rewards to pile up. You use it today, and so that's really what our focus is. And buying a home is maybe further off because of what's happened with COVID, but it's still part of the number one American dream that most people have. And 40% of the homes in the United States are sold to first-time home buyers. So I don't think that's changing anytime soon. I think that the age may change and time may change, but you're still gonna need to save money, down payment, and so our whole focus is helping you do that.
Absolutely. Now, Jack, I wanted you to have a chance to talk about two very important nonprofits that you are involved with. One in your home area in Stamford, Connecticut, Future 5, and Voices for September 11th. If you could just tell us a little bit about those two very worthwhile nonprofits.
Sure. So yeah, first, Future 5, been a founding board member of that for over 11 years. Great program. We help with low, moderate income high school students in Stamford, Connecticut, that go to the public high schools, Stanford High and Trinity Catholic. We help them, we tutor them, we provide free tutoring to help them graduate from high school, improve their grades so they can graduate. And then we help them decide if they should go to a trade school, a 2-year school like a Norwalk Community College, which is here locally, or apply to 4-year schools. And I'd say we've helped over 750 kids over the last 11 years. 80%, or not 80, probably 60% have gone to 4-year schools of some type. So we're very proud of that. We can organize, we bring together volunteers that do the tutoring. There's no cost to the student. And it's a great program because we also can bring in corporate sponsors and others to help provide some financing for tuition and grants and so forth for these kids to go to college, which many kids would never go to college if we didn't step in and help. So that's a great program. It continues to be a huge need in this area and many areas. And the founder of it, Cliff McFeely, had a vision, and we helped support him, and he's really delivered on the vision. It's a great program. The other nonprofit is called Voices of September 11th, founded by Frank and Mary Fetchett, who lost their 24-year-old son in the World Trade Center during 9/11. They started a foundation really to bring together resources for families and survivors of 9/11. And it's really expanded out to anybody that was affected by the attacks of 9/11, which includes the 400,000 people, including first responders, fire, police, EMTs, engineers, sanitation workers, stockbrokers on Wall Street, that went back to work after 9/11 happened to clean everything up and to shore everything up. They were breathing the air from the toxic air from the collapse of the towers, and they all have been in, there's over 100 different cancers that have been identified because of people that were breathing that air. So there's a fund set up by the U.S. government called the World Trade Center Health Program. And that fund is set up to help those 400,000 people that went back to work that may be suffering. So Voices of 9/11's role is to help educate and find those 400,000 people and get them enrolled in that program so they can get the health benefits that their insurance won't cover potentially. And it's funded by the U.S. government. So it's a great, many people want to claim, that the U.S. government didn't step in and help, but the U.S. government actually did an amazing job setting up these programs. And Voices is really there to kind of help connect the dots between the U.S. government program and the consumers that are out there every day. And it's pretty powerful. There's people that went back to work 7 days later, as traders on the stock exchange that have 2 different kinds of cancers. And if they didn't have this program, they would financially, it would have, been very, very difficult for them to maintain the health treatments that they're under. So, and same thing for first responders, fire, police, that whatever's not covered, their families aren't covered. This program helps, and Voices helps connect those families of survivors with, the programs that are available to them. So it's a great program.
That's terrific. Terrific work to do. I remember those days after 9/11. My wife is actually, as we were talking earlier, was in the building, was able to run down the stairs at 2 World Trade, and was aided to safety out of the building by many of the New York City policemen and firemen on the scene, who we have to realize many of them didn't make it home that night. And so that's a great work that you are doing on both fronts. Well, Jack Loop, thank you so much for joining us. The founder and CEO of the HomeCard Group has really had a lot of variety in his career with technology, with retail, and with the credit card industry rewards. Really good to talk with you. Any final thought for us today?
Just, hang in there. I think everyone's just got to hang in there. It's a day by day. We're all evolving. So I think we have to be flexible, and now more than ever.
Absolutely. Well, Jack Loop, thank you so much for joining us. Hope to be able to do this again and stay in touch. Founder, CEO of the HomeCard Group, located up in Connecticut. And again, this is Ken Kraetzer on behalf of our team at CBSI Services in Harrison, New York, managing insurance-backed programs and customer service for our clients, over 1,000 banks, and appreciate the work that they have done. Very proud of the work our team has done handling our clients and their customers, especially through this COVID-19 period. There were so many travel challenges that had to be helped along during March especially, and we appreciate their work working from home, taking care of our clients and customers. So again, for CBSI Services, this is Ken Kraetzer. Have a great day, everybody, and stay safe.